Hi everyone, welcome to another session of Learn Language from Dharmapeetam. So at present we are dealing with the different usages of tenses in English language, and in the previous session we have seen what are the usages of simple present tense. Now it is time for us to deal with the usages of present continuous tense. In this session, when we discuss the structure of present continuous tense, we have discussed this particular point that continuous tense means it is continuously happening at a particular point of time. So present continuous tense is basically used to express an action which is continuing in the present time. Present time means when we are speaking about, or when we are mentioning that particular thing. So the first usage of present continuous tense is nothing but to express things that are happening at the moment of speaking. To express a thing which is happening at the time of we speaking about it. For example, we can say I am working in a new project right now. I am working in a new project right now. Means when I am speaking about that now, I am dealing with the same thing. It may not be exactly at the time of speaking. Right? There are two different situations there in that. For example, you are studying. You are studying. It need not be like you do carry a book and read from that every time. Right? So, for example, you are in your study room, you are reading the book, someone came inside and asked what are you doing, and you said I am studying. Exactly at the time of happening it is you are mentioning it. Or it can be something like you are doing a particular course. It happens for a time duration of around 1 year or 2 years. Any time in between this 1 or 2 years, if someone is asking you, you can say I am studying. Isn't it? So it doesn't mean that exactly the time of speaking it has to happen. It can be in a progressive mode at the time of you mentioning that. Okay. So this is the first usage of some present continuous tense to express things that are happening at the time of speaking. Right. So at the time of speaking means it may happen exactly at the time of speaking, or it may be something like you are in that particular activity, or that activity is in a progressive mode over a period of time. Both these situations can be expressed using present continuous tense. Another usage of present continuous tense is to express other kind of temporary situations even if the action isn't happening at this moment. So to express temporary activities, for example, we can say John is working in a shop until he finds a job in his field. John is working in a shop until he finds a job in his field. So he has got a particular level of education and he is searching job related to that particular field of his expertise. So until he finds a job, he is working as a helper or a salesman or something like that in a shop. So he is working right now in a temporary position which is not a permanent one. Right? This particular usage we have to relate with the simple present tense. For example, we can say I work in a school in simple present tense, or I am working in a school. I work in a school is a sentence in simple present tense. I am working in a school is a sentence in present continuous tense. Both are almost expressing the same kind of a scenario. What is the difference between I work in a school and I am working in a school? These are the kinds of things that we need to catch and remember so that we can improve our efficiency in English language. So when we say I work in a school, it's a kind of a permanent kind of a job setting. It's a permanent job. Means until you retire from the job or until you decide to leave it, you can continue in that position. But when we say I am working in a school, it's a temporary kind of a thing. It's not a permanent one. Right? I am working in a school is a sentence which expresses a temporary situation, whereas I work in a school is a permanent situation. Right? So, when we look at these two sentences, we may not find much difference in the usage, and for everything we have a habit like I am working in a school. Working in a school is not a habitual action. It's not a habitual action, isn't it? For example, if you have the habit of going for a walking or a jogging in the morning, it can break. Like if it is raining heavily or it is impossible to go out and have such kinds of things, it can break. But work is a profession, is not a habitual action kind of a thing. So don't misunderstand between the habitual action and this a permanent and a temporary situations. We take it for granted and we use this in present continuous tense instead of a simple present tense. Right? Remember that. To express temporary habitual actions. To express temporary habitual actions. Temporary habitual actions means some change in the habit which was not there earlier. So such kind of situations actually can be expressed using present continuous tense. For example, we can say he is eating too much these days. He is eating too much these days. Which means what? Earlier he never had the habit of this particular problem called eating too much. But nowadays, within the time span of a month or a few weeks, what I observe is he is eating too much. Right? So that is a temporary habitual action, or something we can say that a fresh habitual action. So such kinds of things can be expressed using present continuous tense. Another area where present continuous tense is extensively used is in relation with some words. Look at the screen. For habits that are not regular but that happen very often. In these cases, we usually use the adverbs like always, forever, or constantly. Often, we use the present continuous in this way to talk about any annoying habit. So, this is also not a permanent habitual activity kind of a thing. It's not temporary either or recently started either. It's something like at times it comes and goes. It's not a permanent one. It's not a recently started one, but it happens now and then. So that is why it is mentioned as annoying habits. Annoying habits. And this we use in relation with these adverbs like always, regular, or constantly, or forever. Look at the example. You are forever losing your keys. You are forever losing the keys. Your keys means what? Quite often you have the habit of forgetting your keys somewhere. Not always. If it happens always, it becomes a habitual action. And this is not a recently started one as well. Right from a long time, you have this habit of often, not always, not never, often forgetting the keys after keeping it somewhere. Or she is constantly missing the train. It's something almost like a habit that she always misses the train. Missing a train cannot be a habit, no? Even if a person misses the train, something like who uses this particular transportation to go to his office or something like that, even if he miss it 5 times a week, it cannot be considered as a habit, because it's a negative kind of a thing and that cannot be a habit, right? So she constantly missed the train. She is constantly missing the train. Almost made it into a habit. So such kind of activities also can be expressed using present continuous tense. Now, we may have a future activity which is planned. A future activity which is planned. Such planned activities can be expressed in a present continuous tense as well. And we are pretty sure that that will happen. For example, we can say, I am meeting my father tomorrow. I am meeting my father tomorrow. So I have fixed it that tomorrow I am going to my father's place and I have to meet him. It's fixed. So such kind of activities are expressed using present continuous tense. Or we can say, we are going to the beach at the weekend. So this weekend, it's fixed that there are no other programs, but we are going to the beach. It's fixed, it's planned. Or I am leaving at 3. I am leaving at 3. I will be available only up to 3 o'clock in the evening, and at 3 I will be moving out. It's fixed. Right? So, planned future activities can be expressed using present continuous tense as well. Okay? So, in the previous session we have seen that simple present tense can be used for expressing planned future activities, and now see, present continuous tense also can be used for expressing planned future activities. Now, what are the time phrases that we can use with present continuous tense? If we check the examples, all the examples that we have been going through in the previous situations where we use present continuous tense, we can find these words like now, at the moment, at the present, at present, look, or these days, this morning, today, tomorrow, right? So the time frame that we can find in present continuous tense, we check the examples. I am meeting my father tomorrow. Tomorrow is the time indicator there. We are going to the beach at the weekend. At the weekend is the time factor. Or he is eating a lot these days. These days as a time factor in that. Every morning. So all these kinds of words can be almost the same, similar kind of words in the simple present tense could be found in this also. Okay. So that is, these are the usages and the time frames that are being used in present continuous tense. So when we are reading something, newspaper or articles or something like that, be a bit observant. Identify the words, identify the verbs, and identify the usage by which they are being used in that. Saying that, we need to be very careful when we are using continuous tense. So this is common for all continuous tenses like a present continuous perfect, present perfect continuous tense, past continuous, past perfect continuous tense, future continuous, and the future perfect continuous tense as well. It's a point that we cannot use all verbs in English language in continuous tense forms. Okay. So in the next video, in the next session, we will be dealing with those words or those verbs in English language which cannot be used in a continuous tense forms, right? So keep following our videos. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you.